What is good, Houdini world? Today I want to share with you the haircutting tools that I use that really help make a difference. And there are very important tools that allow me to perform hair magic. So understanding these tools are very important, especially if you want to provide high quality results and those unique haircuts. All right, one word of advice I'd like to give you guys is that investing in your tools is very important, okay? Save the money in purchasing high quality steel because it's gonna make a big difference. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past where I haven't, where I've gone the cheap route and it's come back to bite me, all right? So before we get started, I just wanna share this with you. Okay guys, let's go into the two different categories of shears, okay? First we have our hair cutting shears and then our texturizing shears. Hair cutting shears are mainly used to cut blunt or straight lines in the hair. Don't get the word shear or scissor confused because sometimes they can be used hand in hand. For my clients that I know don't understand the word shear, I'll use scissors. Now there's thinning shears, which are mainly used to remove bulk from the hair, sometimes referred to as texturizing shears or notching shears. I use many different types of shears with a bunch of different teeth in the blades. One way I like to explain this is that the more teeth there are, the less hair is removed. Notching shears are usually designed to remove more hair because a wider opening is there, and which in turn allows more hair to be removed, okay? So the wider the opening, the more that it's removing hair, all right? And I'll go and explain each and every scissor or shear, whichever one you want to use. To me, if you want to sound a little bit more professional in your field, using the word shear is a little bit more elevated, okay? But they're both accepted, shears or scissors. All right, Houdini world, right now I'm going to show you how to adjust your tension screw. And this should be checked on pretty frequently because, you know, as you use your shears, sometimes they can come out of calibration and sometimes you either get, I've never had any instances where it gets too tight. For the most part, I mean, it can get tight, especially if it's you're exposing it to a lot of water. Sometimes you'll start to notice that it gets a little tight, or especially if you're cutting with, you know, a client that has product in their hair, sometimes the blades can get a little tight from the residual product. But you also, I mean, for the most part, you really have to worry about them getting too loose, all right? So you gotta be very careful. And today I'm gonna show you about how I go about, you know, seeing how they're calibrated and seeing how they're, you know, just how the moving blade is moving. Because here's the thing, guys, you don't want something that's gonna be too loose, okay? Something like this that's too is not good, all right? Something that's too tight, okay, it's not going to be good either. You don't want something that's going to be too tight because, you know, it's just going to make it a lot harder for you to actually get your shear open and closed. And you don't want it too loose because what can happen is it can actually affect the performance on your cutting. And especially if you're working with thick hair, sometimes the hair can actually fold over the shear. And so that's what you don't want. Today I'm going to show you how I go about figuring out how the tension is on my blades, right? So what I normally do is I'll put it in a horizontal position, okay, with the screw, okay, facing me. All right, so you want to make sure your tension screw is always facing you, and I'll bring up the top blade, okay. This is my moving blade. I'll bring it up, and then I'll slightly tap it. All right. What you want is for it to stop right about 25 to 35%. Okay, if it closes all the way, it's too loose, all right? You want to make sure that it's not completely closing. And this one right here seems like the position is just closing right where I want it. All right, very important, okay? You don't want it too tight because you're going to feel the resistance, okay? But you also don't want it too loose. So finding out the proper, you know, position is going to be so important. All right, if the blade doesn't drop, okay, then what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to adjust the tension screw. You can go ahead and use a screwdriver. If you have something that has a tension screw that needs a special key, you can go ahead and do that. Always remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey, okay? So you wanna always go and apply and do this in small little increments. I'm only maybe moving 1 or 2 clicks, okay? I don't wanna go too far, all right, with my clicks. Now also, you may have something like this that you can just adjust it with your finger, okay, just by twisting it. But same thing goes, guys, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, all right? Very important. Always making sure that when you do adjust, okay, you recheck your tension, all right? So very, very important, guys. You recheck your tension each time that you do this, okay? Just because you throw it 2 clicks or you move it 2 clicks over, it's important to recheck it, okay? This one's almost there. I'm gonna give it one more. And that's one right there. And that should be right about there, guys. This is where more or less you want it to stop, all right? For optimal performance, this is what it should be like. All right, guys, this has been another tip by Houdini the Great. What is good, Houdini world? That's right, it is I, Houdini, and today I want to talk to you about how to prevent your shears from becoming damaged, all right? So these are the do's and don'ts. These are the do's and don'ts, excuse me. First and foremost, guys, avoid dropping your shears, because even once on a hard surface can damage your shears and even ruin the settings. I've had instances where I've dropped them and even bent the metal. So you want to be very, very careful and keep them off the floor. I definitely recommend protecting your shears, especially if you're going to be transporting them to maybe doing a house call or traveling with them, and using something like a carrying case or a holder. And that's going to keep them protected. If you don't have any of those two, wrapping them in a towel will do the trick. All right. Here's another thing. Never, never, ever, 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 ever use your shears to cut anything other than hair. All right. Keep a pair of crappy shears that you don't care about for cutting paper or plastic. All right. Lastly, be very careful with submerging your shears in Barbicide. In the past, I thought that, you know, dipping them in Barbicide was a good thing as far as disinfecting them. It's a very corrosive liquid, guys, and it can cause your shears to even get rusty. So you gotta be very careful. I highly recommend using clipper spray as an alternative. All right, here are the do's and don'ts regarding how to properly maintain and take care of your shears, Houdini style.